Good morning. Oof. It's quite dark even though it's 8:30. I'm finally back in the north. I came back yesterday with a very full car. Oh my goodness. The problem is that because people have now cottoned on that I will take their stuff, and my parents save up all their incoming packaging for me to pick through and decide what I can use back here. And they keep everything. And they know that I'm really bad at saying no. I'm better than I used to be, and 10 years ago, more than that, I was a little bit of a hoarder. So I'm very aware of my weaknesses when it comes to taking on stuff, because I don't want it to end up in the bin. But various moves over the years have meant that I've had to streamline. So I have got really good at decluttering, regularly decluttering, and now that I'm in my own place on my own, I have got a lot better. So I just said no to a lot of it. But also my friend who I mentioned, who I was seeing while I was down, has also cottoned on to this. And I told you about the clothes she was going to give me. 2 full-size rubbish sacks just full of clothes that she'd been hanging on to for ages because she couldn't be bothered to go down the charity shop. But she didn't want to sell them. She's just not interested in the money. So she offered them to me, and I thought, well, yeah, I can sell those. So I came back with those as well. And some good stuff in there. I should be able to make some money, which would be nice. Got some good labels. But of course it means that this has happened. The car. So that was how it looked when I got it out into the flat and just looked at it. And yesterday I just divided up the bags into the rooms that they needed to be in, sorted out the stuff I needed to sort, and I'll deal with the offload of clutter from other people as the days go on. I have a busy weekend. I've got 2 cleaning jobs to get back underway because the offices have been without for 2 weeks, and a weekend is when I would do it. I'm going to split it into 2. I'm going to do the short one today, Saturday, and the longer one tomorrow, because the longer one's going to be even longer because they've asked for some extra things to be done. So I shall do those in bits this weekend. Just settling back into normal life. It just takes a couple of days for me to get used to being back in my own place. The routine when I'm away is very different. It's warmer. There's more people around. My routine changes. I completely stop watching TV when I'm down there. There are other things to do. I'm far less on the internet. I'm in the countryside, so I can go out and walk and do fun stuff. There's family to see, there's friends to see. So it's a whole different way of life. And although there are certain aspects of it that I don't miss, for the most part, each time I go down, I prefer being down there more. I like being more connected with family now. And this time of year is the hardest because it's so cold. I have to now get used to being back in a colder environment. That said, I really struggle with the temperatures down at my parents'. My dad's trying to get better with the heating, so it tends to hover around 17 degrees. And I'm absolutely sweltering most of the time because I'm not used to it. Here, if the flat is at 14 degrees, I'm perfectly happy. That's a nice temperature for me. Still got my layers on, but that's a nice winter temperature. And of course, very often it's below that, and you know, the heating is just, it's just so expensive now. Especially now, of course, the bills have gone up again 1st of January. So last night I got my new funky layers on, and I treated myself to the heating. The flat was really cold because I've been away for 2 weeks, so I did put the heating on for the evening just to warm it through a bit, and that was really nice. I didn't want to do anything. I'd done all the unpacking that I had to do, and I was just getting my brain back into gear, getting used to having much slower internet again. Sometimes I forget how slow 4G can be, and just getting used to being patient again. And I just snuggled down on the sofa under my layers with my blanket and a hot water bottle and watched Aliens, which was on, and that dealt with the evening. And then going to bed was nice because it is actually quieter here. When you're sharing a house with people who are running very different routines, like my parents go to bed really late, my dad gets up really early, and they're noisy and they're putting on the lights and they're banging and clattering around and having conversations the moment they wake up, and it takes me ages to get ready, just to get my brain into gear. It takes me a good half an hour just to wake up, and I've always been a bit slow like that. And you know, I'm on my own. I can do the routine that I need to do, and as I've got older I've definitely slowed down a bit. So I don't miss the morning noise and the having to do conversations the moment I step outside the bedroom door, and all the bright lighting and blah 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 blah. I can't do that. I need time. So I've already been I've been awake for over an hour, up for half an hour, so this conversation is doable. It just takes me a bit of time, and I've even written notes for what I wanted to say this morning, because I could have said a lot of stuff yesterday actually, but I had a really good journey back, everything was fine, and then I thought I'll just dip into YouTube just to see, check that everything's okay, because I uploaded videos that I wasn't around to monitor, and there was a mistake in yesterday's audit report, which was my incoming. And I'm just assuming that people were ribbing me, that they didn't see the mistake and think that was what I earned. I made a mistake when I was talking about my banking interest, and I said I'd made £17,000 of interest in 2023, which of course is ridiculous. I mean, if I'd made £17,000 in interest in 2023, someone calculated that I must have had something like £300,000 in savings, which I definitely do not have. And if I did, how would I possibly be on universal credit? Why would I be sitting in my flat at 9 degrees during the day? I mean, it's ridiculous. So I'm assuming everyone was winding me up, but it really bugged me, because I didn't want to be reading that as soon as I got back in. And the annoying thing was that then I've had to do something about the video. And you can't just replace an existing video within an upload, so you have to delete the whole thing. So I had to take the video down, which meant I lost all the comments that were there. So if you commented on the original version of that video yesterday, sorry, it's all gone, you'll have to repost. And I dug out the edit for that video. I didn't have it all because that was one of the things that was lost on my old laptop. So I had to sit there yesterday evening trying to piece it back together. I had the basis of it, and I had to take the second upload, put that into my software, and then overlay additional bits and all the stuff that had been lost. Thankfully it was a really simple video. When I was uploading those audit videos and the food one, I was trying to cram it all in the last week before I went away, so I was kind of rushing a bit. And although I do always watch and re-watch the videos before I hit upload, I do miss things. When you're sitting there for sometimes 30-40 minutes just listening to yourself talk, you don't always catch everything, and I have a really bad habit of not focusing when I'm talking. So I made that money slip up, did an overwrite for it so that it's obvious, because I couldn't re-record the whole thing, it just wasn't going to happen, couldn't be bothered anyway. So I did the little overlay text to say that was a mistake, and I've done it once before with something else where I think it was a financial amount, or it was a time or something like that. It was an amount of days or something. So I just overwrite it, because I'm a human being and I make mistakes, and I don't want this channel to be a refined and perfect thing. That is not the point of it. I make mistakes sometimes. So what? Who cares? I didn't accidentally put £17,000 in my spreadsheet. It was a word that I used. Anyway, so that put me in a little bit of a mood. And there was a couple of times yesterday while I was editing that, and I'm standing there in I've got my new Snuggie thing on that I was gifted, and it really is warm, it's really making a difference. And I was standing there for a couple of flash moments when I thought, I don't want to be here. What am I doing here? What am I doing? And it's always that settling in bit when you come back to the life that you usually lead, and you don't realise how it creeps up on you. If I'd been coming back in April or after my summer trip or in September, I'd be fine. But because I've come back into the winter trip, knowing that the hardest bit of the season now begins and will end roughly when I'm going back for my next trip home, I know that this is going to be the tough season. I'll manage. It's fine. I've done it before. I've done it this will be my 5th winter. It's not like I can't cope. But sometimes your brain just goes, can we just not do this anymore? But it is the way it is. And there was a couple of other comments that, I don't know why people always have to have a one-up on you. You'll say something and someone will go, oh, well, I'm worse off than you, or oh, you could have done better than that. Who cares? I'm not telling you things so that you can feel better or worse about your life. Someone commented that I paid way too much rent, and then quoted a ridiculously tiny sum for the house that they paid for. I don't know whether they were renting or they owned it, but it was a ridiculously small amount, and they face valued it. They just said, this is what I pay. And of course, it won't be that simple. You can't just, get a 2-bedroom house for a couple of £100 or £300 a month. It's ridiculous. It probably lives in a terrible area or about 50 million miles away from where I need to be. So there was that, and then there was another woman who asked me, was I worried about, renting as an older person? There's all kinds of unknowns down the road for me, so I know that there is, provided things happen, never assume that things will happen, but, my parents have made provision for me, for my brother of course, but he's in a slightly different situation, so that I won't have to spend the rest of my life here. That will not happen. And even whilst they're still alive, that won't happen, because there are other things that will probably change as my parents get older, and depending on what their health is like, which will mean I won't be up here. So I'm expecting at some point in the future, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, who knows, to not be in the same situation I'm in now. And you'll all be going, oh, well, you're making a lot of assumptions there. Maybe I am, but if my YouTube channel is running then, we'll find out, won't we? But no, I'm not anxious about being an older person renting, because it's not going to happen. I know that much. And even if it was, there's no point in worrying about something if I can't change it. If you can't change it, you learn to work with it. On the other hand, if you can change it, change it. I'm not worried at the moment. It is what it is. Every year is a learning curve, and who knows what's around the corner. I wanted to put a lot of changes in place. Last year there were things I wanted to do to make sure that I was improving. I ticked the whole list actually. Everything got done. So then I know I can make the changes if I want to, and it's what I want to achieve. Someone else said, why don't you just go and get a 9-to-5 job? And I know that a lot of people are quite happy just doing a job. They do the job, they come home, they forget about the job. The next day they get up, they go to the job, they do the job, they come home from the job. I've done that, and no, I am not special, but also I changed the way I think about work. And I understand why all the youngsters now refuse to go into jobs, and all the quiet quitting and all that sort of thing, because it's so thankless. I spent the best part of 20 years working in jobs that I didn't like, that I had no connection to, with people that were sometimes very nice, often not, and I questioned why I wanted to spend my life wasting my life on things that had no meaning to me at all. What's the point of that? And I know that's traditionally how people live and have always lived. It's a hand to mouth, you get up, you go get a job. But the world has changed a lot, and you don't have to do it anymore. You can actually say, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be the person who's helping the big CEO make his fortune for his nice comfortable early retirement whilst I scrabble around until the day I drop dead. If needs must, and it's essential that you get any job, you can do that, and that's fine as a stopgap. But I don't want to spend the rest of my life going back to square one, back into jobs that I can't stand, with pointless jobs that I do every day. If I go and get another 9-to-5 job, I want it to be something that has some actual meaning. I want to feel like I am doing something good, either for the planet. Let's think about, I don't know, sustainable jobs, environmental jobs, or doing something that helps people. I don't know, job in a poverty charity, or helping with infrastructure to make people's lives better, but actually be able to make a difference. I don't mean sitting at a desk in a council, working in one of their departments are supposed to help people and it doesn't help people, because a lot of these things that are supposed to work don't. They just don't. So I need to find, if I'm going to give up the way I live now, which means I get to do the things I like to do and I want to do, to a certain extent anyway, we'll improve on that this year. If I'm going to give that up, I need to make sure that it's for something else that makes me feel like my life is worth it. I don't want to be just feathering somebody else's nest for the rest of my working life, because that will mean all the things that I have done since I started running my business 12 years ago will have been a waste of time. And I never want it to be like that, because life is about more than doing the 9-to-5 and hating your life and getting to the end of it and having regrets. I see too many people that worked their whole lives in jobs they hated, now have crappy retirements and are just sitting there waiting to die. Honestly, I do. I know too many people like that, and I don't want to be that person. So last year was about improving the income so that I could give me some breathing space, take the pressure off. I know everything's being paid for. I'm getting more direction now. YouTube, running this channel, has given me lots of direction. It's also given me a new income stream, which means that the work that I'm doing here is now starting to put something back in my bank, which is great. That's really great, because I love doing this channel. I love where that's going. I love reading the comments where somebody has learnt something they can implement in their life that makes things a bit better, or helps someone re-look at how they live their life, or re-looks at their finances, all that sort of thing. And actually maybe that is the direction I need to go in, that I can use what I'm doing now on YouTube as a basis for something bigger, which is why I mentioned, maybe working for a charity that deals in poverty, or the structure of the system, or something like that. I don't know. If I can use the skills that I'm doing now to do something useful, So I feel like this is the most useful thing I now do with my life at this little juncture in time. So that's given me a lot of things to think about, and I think I'm sick of reading all the blooming 2024, new you, do your finances, have your spring clean, la-di-da-di-da. And then, 2 weeks down the line, everyone will be talking about the spring sales that are coming up, planning the holidays. I've already seen the Valentine's cards are in the shops, the Easter eggs are already in the shops. It's like, oh my goodness, they're just trying to get you to spend money. So, but I do think that 2024 will be a good year. I don't know in what way. I think that I will improve on stuff, I will learn more from stuff, and I will get more direction from what I'm doing now for what I could potentially do in the future. Even if I don't actually get to do it, because, stuff takes time if you want to do it well. So I've woken up this morning on a much more upbeat note. I'm pleased I didn't talk about the stuff I've just talked about yesterday, because I was not in a good mood last night. It was weird getting back and having to get back into my old mindset. But this morning, waking up in silence, there's nobody around. All the neighbours are still asleep. There's almost no traffic outside. It's me and a blue sky this morning and my coffee, and I'm going to get ready, go and do one of my cleaning jobs that'll give me the bolster for the morning, and I have a ton of stuff to get on with. I want to get sorting the clothes for vintage that I brought back. That'll get me back into a work mindset. So yeah. Oh, Saturday. What day is it? It's the 6th of January. I have a new calendar. It's got the right year on it. Look, we have Animals by Brie Merrin. They're absolutely beautiful. So I have an actual proper calendar for this year. For those of you that spotted, last year's was actually the year before. So yeah, I'm feeling more buoyant this morning. Let's get stuck into 2024 proper. Let's start making headway. Let's start making some plans for things to look forward to. There is stuff to look forward to this year. I already have 2 things on the list. Although I think they both will probably be in spring now. One will definitely be in spring. One I think will be in spring just because of the weather. And that's a car camping trip. I already know exactly what I'm doing for my first car camping trip, but I need the weather to be a little bit warmer than it is now. I don't want to die in the back of my car from cold exposure because it's so cold. So I've just waffled for about 25 minutes. I think that's quite enough. I had a backlog of posts for YouTube before I went away. They're all gone. I'm now up to date, so I now need to keep filling the gaps. I haven't looked at my YouTube yet today, so I don't know what the comments have been on the revised version of my audit, if there have been any. If people have had their comments deleted, they may not bother commenting again, but it was good to actually get rid of some of that ribbing. Honestly, do you really think I earned £17,000 in interest? Because if I did, I wouldn't be here. Anyway, that's my update. Let's get stuck in to 2024.